Hey, Bob, real quick. Do we put notes in the public notes document or do we put them on the issue now?
Issue.
Awesome. Thank you.
I should actually, I think, remove that from the invite.
I will give it another minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. Do we have tag constrict? Oh, we do. Hey, Catherine. Okay, Bob, I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen again.
Give me 1 sec.
No problem. And happy November. It actually is starting to feel like winter here in Salt Lake City for all of you that are planning to come out here next week. Excited to see all of you. Yep, hoodies and beanie caps. It just snowed a little bit this morning, but again, it could be 70 degrees next week, so you never know. Layers, everybody. Yes, Robert. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and get started. Bob, are we recording yet?
It always records.
That's right. Auto record. Automation at its finest. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. And thank you everybody for joining us on the November 5th public TOC meeting. And we have 2 tags here giving updates, but really quick, do some general housekeeping. We have the Linux Foundation antitrust policy that we do need to show at every meeting. We don't have the slide anymore, so, oh, there's the slide. Thank you. So just a reminder that this is a vendor neutral space and we all love working with all of you. Also, we abide by the CNCF Code of Conduct. So please treat each other kindly and with grace. Okay, so let's go ahead and I just checked, we don't have any open votes, but TOC members, we may have some last minute ones opening up on Friday. So keep an eye out, please.
Yes,
Also,
there'll be one on Friday and need everyone to vote on it that day if possible.
hey, stop. Yes. Otherwise, Bob will come find you. Okay, and reviewing and assigning projects in the moving levels backlog. It is the freeze period before and after KubeCon. But Emily, you made the reminder of people to review projects really fast so they can prepare for after the freeze. I made a very quick review and I just wanted to point out quickly that some of the things that tend to be missing are the adopter interviews. So I put a reminder on some of the initial issues. as well as the security self-assessment. Some of the projects are putting in a work in progress instead of completing the actual application. So reminder for projects that for your due diligence to be picked up, it needs to be complete. And quick question for the TOC, Emily. The open telemetry one, they have an outstanding question on whether they should move to the new template to get ready for the due diligence being picked up.
That should be for a discussion with their TOC sponsor when they're assigned. Generally, though, I believe the feedback from projects thus far is they and their TOC sponsors find the new template and the new process a lot easier and simpler to go through because it's very clear on kind of like make sure that this is done right, the evaluation, make sure this is done right, the evaluation, and kind of like goes through it from that perspective. It's a little bit more structured, sets expectations more evenly, but to date it has been, if you are a project that is currently in the backlog, it is up to you and your TOC sponsor to determine whether or not you should move to the new template. There will eventually become a point where every project that has applied in the backlog is automatically on the new template. So we're working on getting there, and we appreciate projects' flexibility as we navigate through this.
Thank you. And the process is speeding things up. You will see it even go faster after this KubeCon. So thank you to everybody that has, worked very hard on process improvements. Okay. And go back to thank you. As we're working next week on TOC issues, Emily, would you like us to skip the TOC workboard right now and go to the tag updates?
Yes, I think we should skip that because we have a lot of cleanup that we'll be doing next week.
Okay. With that, thank you. And Catherine, you're here for the contributor strategy, and I'm wondering, Eddie, are you giving the tag security up?
Hey, yeah, I have to drop at 1:30, so Marina's gonna present.
Wonderful. Thanks, Marina. I saw Eddie's name first in the view of people. Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to you, Catherine, for the contributor strategy update. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I've been trying to get some updates that haven't been provided in time, so it's not going to be complete, unfortunately. But happy to, we'll update the document later on. As of completed projects, the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Working Group did the so it was Deaf Awareness Month in September, and so we had a bunch of social media posts, at least 2 per week, plus a CNCF live stream that popped out on everyone who follows the CNCF. And so basically the goal was raising awareness about the fact that deaf people are part of the community, deaf and hard of hearing people, right? So that was very successful, got lots of engagement, and there again, like visibility, super important for the first step, right? The awareness. In progress. So, well, first of all, like contributor growth and the maintainer circle are on hold because we are really like looking for more contributors. So we've lost, yeah, so there it's open for anyone who is, we're actively recruiting for anyone who is willing to come and join. But for now, it's on hold until that happens. Okay, mentorship. So the LFX this year, the 3rd term is ongoing. So we have 46 mentees who are participating across 20 projects. So that's great. Google Summer of Code is ending this week, and the final project actually finalizing as well. And then there is a mentoring stats overview sheet that is linked here, and you can have a look as well. Well, you can see all the CNCF projects that have participated since it started. So that's pretty cool because since 2020, 73 CNCF projects have participated and almost 500 mentees, which is kind of crazy and exciting. So very successful program for sure. And then moving to Abide, which is the Diversity and Inclusion Initiative, still information that will change its name, but we'll call it like that until then. We submitted like one of things that is kind of like overarching, I think, is like submitted a mentor-mentee workshop for KubeCon London. And the goal is to team up mentors with mentees of underrepresented groups to write an abstract. And I think if accepted and successful, this could be like a really good thing that could be done regularly, because as we know, like fostering mentor-mentee relationships is really important to increase representation. So excited about that, and a little experiment to see if enough people sign up, because we need both sides, right? Then to the individual working group. So the Deaf and Hard of Hearing working group, Salt Lake City, we have one Project Lightning talk and 5 sessions, sorry. We have an open space discussion. It's called differently this time. I forgot the name. And a sign language crash course, which is part of the DI hub. Again, these are just ways to engage with the community. We need these one-on-one interactions for people to kind of, the goal is to, I always put a face on accessibility, because it's, if you don't know anyone who has a disability, accessibility is somehow an abstract concept until you actually meet someone. So that is super important. There, often it's kind of like fun and kind of engaging things, but like the actual thing that's happening there might have a lasting impact. Or at least that's what we hope. There's also a LinkedIn post linked here that has all the activities that of our team at Salt Lake City. So please have a look and share if you can. KubeCon craziness never ends, as you all know. So KubeCon Salt Lake City is next year, but we also have to think about London. So we're recruiting community members to partner up with Deaf and Hard of Hearing members. This week, I actually matched a few people. It was a last minute idea and I really liked it, and I'm hoping that can be successful. So hoping to do that more in the future. You may have heard that there is a BIPOC initiative, a very new one. We had our first official meeting last month. We have 2 Deaf and Hard of Hearing members who joined as well, and I love just seeing this, like these diversity groups kind of joining each other, because like first of all, they're raising awareness within about Deaf and Hard of Hearing within the BIPOC, but also like we need to kind of like work together, right? Like everyone has the same goal. And we published the charter, which is linked here, and lots of initial interest. 31 people joined the channel. We'll see if or how many actually will become active, but it's encouraging so far, and we'll have the second meeting later today. For the Blind and Visually Impaired Initiative, lost momentum. Unfortunately, we only had 3 members and it was a little slow, and so I think like we really need more people. You may have seen a LinkedIn post that I wrote, and then like a lot of people shared it, but it's just more difficult than with the Deaf and Hard of Hearing individual. I don't know, it was a lot easier. Like people started popping in. I don't know if they're not on the same platforms, but yeah, so if you know anyone who's deaf or not deaf and hard of hearing, blind or visually impaired, please send them our way, because we need a few additional people. And that's all I had, and I know it's very much Abide focused, just because I didn't get the other updates.
Ricardo?
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. I had a question on exactly on this topic. For the deaf and hard of hearing support, the page for the in the welcoming, like setting up a welcoming conference is really useful. And this was more for the KCD. Is there anything because we are, for some KCD organizers, this came up. Do you know if there has been any KCD that included this in their organization? And the other thing I was going to ask is there any sponsoring for this type of activities if the events decide to include it? Maybe from the
Yes.
CNCF or someone else?
That is a challenge because captions are really expensive. And so one of the things we're trying to see, like how can we do a setup that is more cost effective? So one of the things that can be used apparently, so Google Slides has a live captioning tool. So you can today, if you just enable that, you can have captions, but you have to be next to your mic of your laptop. So it's like that also costs money. So each time there was KubeCon, it's very distracting as well. So because we're not preparing for the talk and preparing for London abstracts. But I have that's a really big goal because I know that there was one KCD who wanted to be accessible because we have a member in Hungary who wanted to attend. And he couldn't because they couldn't make it because it was just too expensive. And he went still, but he couldn't hear anything, right? So it was frustrating. It was still good that he showed up. But the organizer was very moved and sad that he couldn't provide captions. So that is something we're trying to find, and I'm in touch with some people who are kind of expert in that field. But yeah, we need to find a cheap way. Like free would be great, you know. There are free things. If not free, then cheap, and then maybe see like how the CNCF can support. Because right now they're not accessible and at all. Yeah.
Okay. The guidelines are really good. It's just then to actually implement it, it's we're trying to figure out for some local
Yeah.
events as well.
Yeah. But I think like with the sponsor, so I don't know, I think like sponsors are always difficult, but would be great would also maybe especially for networking, because then captions don't help, right? The networking is the most important part of a conference. A lot of people think like we have captions, so we're accessible. We all go to conferences to network, right? We can watch the talks on YouTube. We're not going there. So it's like they're really missing out on these important connections. So then I don't know, like finding sponsors for yes, to help with to pay for an interpreter would be like a huge thing, but I know it's
Exactly.
challenging
Yeah.
because they're not
Thank
cheap
you.
either because they're humans.
Thank you.
Technology is cheap, right? It's cheaper at least, yeah.
That was a great question, Ricardo.
I saw Duffy actually mentioned that KCD UK had this in place. He mentioned in the chat, so maybe also check with him.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they did it, but they basically had like one live channel with text, with speech to text on every stage, and they had it so that you could just tune into it with your phone if you wanted to watch it on your phone, like the text go by. It was pretty slick. I didn't see how they did it, but Carla and that whole team had it set up.
Okay, I'll reach out. Yeah, that's good to know. So someone has figured it out. So thank you.
If Catherine, if you're going to be at KubeCon, I wonder what is her name? The organizer from the CNCF for the community events, the KCDs.
Katie, right? Yeah.
Is it Katie?
Right, yeah, I think so.
Maybe.
Audra?
Oh, that's who I'm thinking of. Yeah, Ricardo. Audra. I wonder if there's something standardized that from the CNCF, the Linux Foundation, that can put out through Audra to scale that. If ACD UK already has it figured out, but just if you have a chance to talk to them as you're
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, I know the Linux Foundation doesn't have like an answer because like I've been back and forth with them. But yeah, like if one of the KCDs has figured it out, we definitely should learn from that because that's the goal, right? Like learn and then like have like best practices, and then we want to have like a best practice for small events because that's super important. But yeah, good point. I'll reach out to her. Thank
Yeah, I
you.
just wanted to highlight though that the guidelines you have in the working group webpage, they're amazing. Really
Thank you.
thanks for that.
Thank you. Yeah. A lot that we try to do is as well explain the why. Because sometimes people think like these are just like things that you're demanding. I need this and that. And it's like, no. Like, so I'm glad they were useful and help illuminate the reasons why we should all do this.
Emily?
Catherine, I seem to have trouble finding where all the links to all these great resources are, would you mind posting them in chat? Because I know that there are some other tag members who would be interested and maybe could use those in other events that they're involved in, or at least share with anyone who is planning such an event.
Thank you. I was having difficulty too. I was going to go look for that after. Thank you for mentioning that, Emily. All right, are there any other questions for Catherine or tag contributor strategy? Okay, I think my last question, Catherine, would be about the working group that needs people.
Mhm.
What is there anything you need from tag members here that can help you with that?
Well, it's just raising awareness, right? Like it's for the blind and visually impaired. And yeah, if I guess just mentioning it, maybe you don't know someone, because often it's like someone in your network needs someone. I can let me look for the LinkedIn post that I made, and maybe you can share that. I am assuming if anyone knew someone, they would tell them already, but yeah, I just don't know where to find them, right? And so we do need a critical group to make this successful, and I think there's a lot we can do. So yeah, that would be awesome. I'll look for it and I'll post it in the chat right now.
Thank you. And the contributor growth and maintainer circle with KubeCon happening next week and a number of tags here having booths. Perhaps that is also an area where they can help recruit for contributor growth and maintainer circle.
Yeah.
So tag members, keep that in mind. Okay, thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay, Marina, are you ready? Okay, we'll hand it over to you now. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so here's our quick update for tag security. This is a quick overview. We can dig into some of these pieces. The big points at the top are that we still only have 2 chairs of the group. We have a very active group of tech leads. I think one of the higher counts of tech leads. So it's mostly worked out so far, but none of those tech leads seem interested in the chair role. I think they're more interested in some of the technical work there. And so still kind of working on that issue. And the other big thing is that we have a bunch of upcoming white papers that the group has been trying to get out before KubeCon, so which seems kind of on track. More about that in a minute. Quick overview of our roadmap. Lots of things moving along. I think a lot of stuff is moving through the pipeline right now, kind of towards active and wrapping up. A couple of, well, we'll get to the in progress. Oh, we can look at the roadmap. That's a good idea. So yeah. So new proposals, I think, are just basically things that we're still discussing. We can skip kind of mostly to the active stuff. If anyone has questions about any of this. The controls mapping, I think, is mostly wrapping up, although they are trying to do something with the upcoming supply chain security white paper V2. This particular issue is closed. This maybe isn't the wrong, is categorized wrong. But I know that they're working on that supply chain white paper V2 work. There. The automated governance reference architecture, I think they're reframing that work to be about like a maturity model for automated governance, but still working on kind of creating a write-up about that. I think there's like an active working doc for where those meetings are meeting that has more information about all of that. And then, yeah, lots of the white paper is wrapping up right now. So the Zero Trust white paper is, there's a PR just kind of almost ready to be merged. I think it just needs a couple more people to take a look. And then the same thing with the supply chain best practices V2 white paper, which is just, it already had community review. We're just making sure that, you know, our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed or whatever before merging that into the repo. Yeah, and then the issue for the compliance working group is wrapping up, but of course the working group is still continuing. We're just, you know, not tracking it on this board. You know, once it's up and going. And I'll talk a bit about that in a second too. We did a big review of all the working groups in the tag in the past couple of months, to make sure that, because I think there were a lot of working groups that were kind of hanging around after they'd kind of finished doing their work, and also ones where we weren't quite sure who was really in charge of everything. So we went through a whole review. We made sure every working group had a designated lead and a tag representative who's in the tag leadership, which means that, you know, in the tag leadership, there's always someone in charge of knowing what's going on in that working group, making sure things are running smoothly and just that everyone knows what's going on. I think that's linked in the other doc under the completed work. There's a nice table of all of those, right, with the leads and what's going on there. It's in the update doc linked from there. It's called Working Group Review under completed work. Thanks. Yeah, so just this nice table in our README that says who you can talk to about each of the working groups. We also just kind of cleaned up the working groups that were listed to make sure they were actually active. And there's kind of two types of working groups, right? Ones that we meet every week and are like making a white paper or something like that. And ones like security reviews, which are, it's definitely ongoing work, but they don't actually meet every week. In that way, they just work on different reviews as they come up. So, but that's all now tracked there kind of nicely, and hopefully we'll be able to keep that up to date as things change. The other big thing we've done is we're trying again with an APAC meeting, which is super exciting. We have a couple of super active folks in the APAC region, including one tech lead, who are kind of helping organize that effort. It's still only a little ways underway, but I think it's been getting some pretty good attendance this time around. Hopefully that'll be a long-term thing going forward. And there's a couple of ongoing work streams actually in that region as well, including a white paper effort that, you know, that has a meeting for me in the middle of the night, so which I think is good. So it's like in that time zone, which I think is great. So hopefully people can make some progress on that. Yeah, what else is in progress? We've got or any questions about stuff so far, people that interrupt me. We have a couple of ongoing assessments right now. The Dragonfly assessment is wrapping up right now. I think we're going back and forth with the project, and we have a meeting tomorrow to hopefully get that written up. This is just some back and forth about the assessment doc. And then the OQS provider. This is one of our first non-CNCF project assessments that we were able to do. This one is also, I think, underway, moving towards the end. So hopefully these will both be wrapped up soon. Yeah, this one looks like it's maybe a little bit stalled, but I think it's close to wrapping up. The other in progress thing, of course, is that we have a kiosk planned for KubeCon next week. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't raise my hand fast enough.
It's okay.
I wonder, and if you already have this, I apologize. With the security assessments, do you pull out kind of common themes that you're seeing across all the assessments?
So it's tricky because we recruit a different set of volunteer assessors for each assessment. And there are a few people who I think are involved in more of them who are able to kind of see those kinds of trends. But yeah, I think it tends to be a slightly different group each time. I think we have been talking recently about one issue with kind of projects being initially interested in the assessment and then falling off and kind of not responding as we go through the process. One of our like kind of the tech leads goals at KubeCon next week is to kind of follow up with some of those people who have fallen off and just see if there's a way we can improve the process to get folks to to follow through and finish it. Because I think that back and forth with the projects is the real kind of value add of the joint assessment over just a self-assessment, right? Is that we can like talk about these things, understand how the project is thinking about different areas of security. So that's one trend that we're definitely tracking and thinking about. Other than that, though, I think, and it's tricky too because the projects just vary a lot, right? So there's, you know, across types of security and maturity and all kinds of things like that. So, yeah, I guess that kind of answered.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'll let you keep going.
Okay, yeah.
We're
Yeah, so
gonna-
yeah, we have a coupon kiosk next week. So we're getting some volunteers together to put that together, kind of share some of those, especially some of those white papers. I think that's our big goal for KubeCon is to get some visibility on both those two new ones and some of our existing work there, just for general guidance. I kind of added a category this time for a stalled project. The security slam, I think we're gonna probably be skipping this year, doing the security slam, or at least not like this calendar year, because I guess it was probably early next year sometime. We'll come back to it. I think the leadership there was asked to switch away from using CLI monitor as the mechanism for doing that, as it's no longer maintained. And so they're just kind of working on how to organize that, and also how to kind of get funding for or organization around some of it. I think there was a number of open questions there. Yeah, go ahead, Emily. I hopefully will be able to answer it.
Is it CLA monitor or are you talking about CLO monitor?
Flow monitor. Yes, I think I wrote
Okay.
that wrong here. That's my fault. Thank you.
Okay, so
I will fix it in the second right here.
I'm sure I can stumble through an explanation of how those two things are related, but I was hoping to hear from you on why there is a dependency on CLO monitor with executing security slam.
Yeah, and I'll tell you my understanding just to be as a I talk to the people who run this, but I'm not, yeah. So my understanding is that the way Security Slam worked last year is that it was kind of basically an initiative to move people up in Flow Monitor in their security metrics under that tool. And so that was just kind of the metrics that was used to track how people were progressing in the slam over this like period of a month or so. And without that tool, I think you need some sort of metric to say how are people actually, contributing to the security of projects. And there are a lot of metrics out there. I think it's just a matter of which ones are really useful for actually improving project security, which I think is actually a big open question in general. And so I think this group has just been kind of struggling with that question of how you measure success of the security slam.
Okay. I have a quick follow-up on that. Sorry, Jiffy, I'm going to butt in front of you. Do you envision then that the security baselines work that Tag Security has been working on jointly with OpenSSF and the probes work associated with that project could augment that monitoring capability when they are finalized?
Yes, and that is exactly one of the ideas that's been floated. Yeah, it's a good catch. All right, Jeffy.
Hello. I have a confusion, which is probably not a good thing. One, this is news to me that Clo Monitor is no longer getting funded since we still actively use it and develop it. Second, Security Slams getting paused is also quite surprising since there's a Security Slam scheduled for KubeCon India in a month.
Yeah, so
So
the KubeCon India one, I should follow up with the folks who were organizing that, if they have some like smaller thing planned to make up for that. Yeah, we can follow up offline because yeah, that's something I should follow up on. The Clone Monitor thing though, yeah, I think they're trying to switch to LFX Insights, which I guess is easier to maintain, but doesn't have all the same metrics in it. I don't know if anyone else has more background here who can explain this better. That's my understanding. Emily might know more. But
As far as I'm aware, GP, I believe that there was some transition that was going on between the two of them with investment more heavily in the LFX insights and dashboards work that was happening. And this is part of like that transition between Clo Monitor and LFX. But I don't know that we've ever gotten clarity on when that cutover is and where we should be focusing things. So if staff could assist in improving our understanding, that would be greatly appreciated.
yeah, and I think all we were told was that like probably the dependency on Clo Monitor for this project wouldn't be sustainable. But I don't know what exactly that timeline is. Yeah. Great. Anything else here? If anyone is in particular interested in the follow-up about the India thing, let me know and I'll loop people into that follow-up. By the way. The other things, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I'd like to be looped into that. Thanks, Mary.
Okay. Yeah. Great. The other things I have for this update, we've been talking a bunch about trying to get our tag security blog a little bit more active. I think as we're wrapping up those white papers, we'll try and post on there and other places, and also just get in general more folks in the community involved there. And yeah, those white papers coming out. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, that's what I have for the update. Happy to dive into anything, but okay, Karina.
Thanks. I raised my hand this time. I'm curious, which working groups were spun down when you did your assessment?
Yeah, I'd have to let me see. I have to look at the old list somewhere. But I think there was a cloud native top 10 working group that just kind of never was super active that was spun down. I think there was at least one other that was spun down. So I have a spreadsheet somewhere that we made as part of this review.
While you're looking for that, my follow-up would be for other tag members that are on this call. Do you have any recommendations from when you went through the review process for other tags that have been doing the same thing for their working groups?
I think Karina was asking if tag security had any recommendations or lessons learned to share with the broader tag leads, should they choose to follow in your stead.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was looking for the doc at the same time. I was yeah, I think that I don't know if there's any particular recommendations. I guess just being organized and consistent is the main thing. I think we put together kind of a survey to get feedback from the community, and then kind of collated all that into a spreadsheet. And I think one of the things we realized kind of two things while doing that. I think there was a little bit of community feedback that we actually got that was really useful, but people in general either just had nice things to say or didn't respond, which was great. But and so the main thing was just getting the groups organized, making sure that everything had a lead, checking in whether things were actually meeting actively or not once we had those leads. So yeah, I guess finding a point of contact, I think, was the big takeaway, is like the most important thing. And what we're hoping will make this sustainable going forward is that every group has a point of contact, and then and so it's that person's job to make sure that they know when it should be spun down or needs help or anything like that. Which I think was in our charter before, but hadn't always been followed as strictly. So.
Go ahead, Emily.
I think that is probably the most common thing, and something that the TOC has also experienced, is that just because we have it in our repo doesn't necessarily mean we're all cognizant, aware, and thinking of it first and foremost while we're engaging. So sometimes we need to go back through and reread our own governance to make sure we're actually following it. And if we have too far drifted off of it, go back in and update it.
Thank you for that, Marina and Emily. Are there any other questions for tag security? Okay. Are there any other topics that any tag members would like to bring up at this time as we're rolling into KubeCon? Okay. All right. With that, I'm going to ask Emily if you have anything else. I see now you've raised your hand, so you did.
Yes. So a couple of quick reminders. We do have a TOC and tag meeting next week at KubeCon. It does not have a virtual option, unfortunately, due to cost and logistics challenges associated with it. I think we had one before and it never got used. So for that meeting, we've asked all of the tags to publish and link their state of the ecosystem reports on that meeting agenda. There will be an email coming out hopefully this week to advise both the TOC and the tag members and leadership to review those state of ecosystem reports and come prepared with observations and recommendations to get everybody in the mindset for why we're having this meeting and why the state of ecosystem reports are. We've heard from many of you over the past several years that we continue to struggle to find contributors and individuals to step into leadership roles, that there is a lack of consistency in what the tags are doing, and how do we get them more involved in the moving levels process to ensure that we have contributor engagement and that we are providing meaningful value to projects and adopters within the ecosystem. So come to the meeting with an open mind and be prepared to explore changes in how we can kind of reboot the tags post 2025 so that they are sustainable moving forward, just like our graduated projects. All right, I think that's everything.
And Bob put the links into the chat. So again, thank you, Bob. So for any tags that haven't linked it yet, please do so as soon as possible. All right, thank you, Emily. That was perfect. And thank you, everybody. And we'll see you all next week. And if not, we'll see you in the TOC meeting after that. So thanks again. All right, cheers.
Bye.